invite Mr. Suresh Kumar DN, CEO at Tesseract Learning. Giving a brief, a learning professional with 17 years of experience with deep interest in learning strategy, design, and technology. He works with global customers to understand their business challenges and propose optimal learning solutions backed by app learning strategies to enhance employees' performance and drive business growth. Please welcome Mr. Suresh with a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you set the tone for my presentation. Sometimes what happens if you have a great speaker before you, it makes your life easier, right? So, yes, so today we are talking about creating engagement with people. We are trying to upskill, reskill, and how do we hold attention? Today, as per the latest research, that attention span of a modern learner is 9 seconds. So if it is that, and with so much of distractions, which literally either we are busy with our WhatsApp or our social media otherwise, right? In between we do our work and also we have to learn, right? That's where we all have been using various strategies of digital learning interventions and other aspects, and that's where like microlearning does a good job, right? And microlearning has been there for some time now. Is it really effective, or we are overrating that? I think that's what we'll explore as we go along today. So, how many are cricket fans here? Cricket fans. Soccer? Okay. Any sport? Okay, quite a few. So, when we talk about cricket, and particularly we talk about IPL, right? When IPL was introduced, before that, we were all used to this 5-day test matches and sit in the morning till the evening. We enjoy the 50-over match. And when this was announced in 2008, that's when literally everyone said, this is literally not going to work because it's too much of fancy, right? It's going to literally kill the cricket, and we all know about that, right? How when the entire concept was introduced, right? It won't work. It will definitely last long, right? And then it will literally, and then it was there was big headlines that which said, okay, it's a pajama cricket which has come in, which is literally not going to make it happen. But if you look maybe 12 years down the line, right, or 14 years down the line, because it definitely, because of IPL, like it has become a brand in itself, right? Cricketers are made, right? And then it gives so much opportunities. And today it's become a global brand in itself, which has helped. And why did it become really successful? Right? Because it is like soccer. We spend 90 minutes, we just enjoy and move on, right? Otherwise, and that's one of the reasons why IPL became popular. Today that is the format which is being used globally, right? Because it is short. And that's where most of our trainings has to be in combination of various things. Microlearning does bring in a vital role, and that's where we just check. So if you look at microlearning, some time ago, right, when microlearning we started using, though it's been there being used for a long time, means we had our own understanding. Okay, yes, microlearning is nothing but bite size. Let us pick up a large module, chunk it into various things, and we are not sure whether will it work or otherwise. And somewhere, and I think most of us must have done or dealt with, where we pick up a large program, let's make into 10 pieces, and then give it to people. I think that is not microlearning. Microlearning there is a science behind that. There's instructional design, there's learning design behind that to make it really effective and impactful. So if you look at today, and this is what maybe a decade ago, but today we have a better understanding, okay, of microlearning, where we all have been using, and that's what we did here in the first session, that microlearning, as long as bite-sized and impactful, using gamification and other things, it does become very impactful, and that's where, and it is an objective driven, that if you're teaching one concept, we focus on that, so that learner learns, builds that expertise and moves on, and that's the main way, that's how we have to build microlearning. And if at all we have to teach history, big process, definitely microlearning is not the space where it should be. It should be specific task-oriented activity which becomes easier for us to focus on. And that can be implemented before a program. It could be a formal program, be it your larger e-learning programs or classroom or a virtual training. It can be before that or during an onboarding program. How do you engage people, right? There are fantastic ways to engage people through the sessions. And then most importantly, what happens post the training program? Because we all put in our best efforts, best expenses to deliver a training. And we all know about forgetting curve. People literally forget majority of the aspects in literally 4 or 5 days time. What do we do to help people remember? And that's something that we'll cover through the day, through the session. Okay. And then if you have to look at what exactly has changed from our understanding of microlearning, because we know we have now better understanding of the concept as microlearning, right? And we know where and how it can be implemented. Most importantly, we should know where it should not be implemented, because yes, where some things will work well on some aspects, but we should know where it will definitely not work. And when it can be implemented, we have clarity, what forms can be done, varied formats, I think we'll cover that today. And it can be used on your platforms that you have, or bring in platforms which will help you to make their deliverables happen, right? And analytics is easier, and it gives better analytics for us to generate so that we are able to show that, okay, because it's all task oriented. We know and drive that impact straight there. And just one question, how many of you are using microlearning already? Okay, how many of you are using which or your entire intervention is less than 30% or more than 30%? How many are less than 30%? Your entire training program has microlearning which is less than 30%. Anybody more than 30%? So how many of us have not implemented any form of microlearning? Okay, I see some hands there. So that means we all are understanding about, we have some understanding of microlearning, we know how to do it, right? Which is good. Now, we are, as we are in the hybrid era, right? People are working from home, people are working from office, they are on the fields. We need to train to meet literally all the learner profiles. Now, if you look at that, I think today the training has to be really dynamic. We need to ensure that people are able to learn. And for that to make it happen, it has to be just in time, because I need to learn something, I need to learn quickly and then move on to do my job. And then it has to be appropriate. It should not be overly long. It should not take too much time for me to complete. And also cater to literally any learner, anytime, anywhere. Okay, and that's where it becomes easier for us. We know where to focus on so that we are able to upskill, reskill the learner, and then they plan the next steps. And most importantly, it has to be something which is memorable. That's where I think strategies like gamification does help, so that yes, there is fun element, but the focus is always on the content, because any training content is the king. But how do we use that so that we are able to deliver the best experience for learners is what we need to focus on. And definitely, we have adapted ourselves during pandemic and now with hopefully post-pandemic, right, where we are. And so that's where, which is also important for this to adapt to the hybrid culture, what we are catering to. It's very important that our training, which has evolved, right, pre, during, and hopefully the post-pandemic, it should be a mix of both online and offline training. That's where hybrid learning plays a vital role. And hybrid learning is what? It's a combination of all your classroom sessions, virtual sessions, okay, self-learning, mix of everything which provides the best learner experience. Because our focus is, irrespective of what we do, learners should be happy so that they're able to learn, apply it on the job. And that's what we need to, and finally our focus is to improve performance of people, right? Whatever, we are all doing only purely to say that we have better skilled people to do the job better, move to the next level. And to make that happen, I think we use varied combinations of elements, starting from our e-learning to, we have used our virtual webinar programs, be it social media as well as social learning, collaboration. I think we'll have to use our systems, what we have in hand, in a more effective manner. It becomes that much easier. Now, why is microlearning important in today, right? Because it is bite-sized. For learners, it's easy to learn. And for us, it is easy to create and roll out. It becomes that much easier. And other important thing, we are able to also manage that in a better manner. And easy to track. the progress because we are rolling out small modules and it's easy for others to complete and have better analytics for that. It becomes that much efficient, and quite natural it is budget friendly, right? We are able to, in order to make big investments upfront, we make smaller investments and time. Budget is time and cost, both. Right? And now, if you see how exactly microlearning has evolved over the years, right? Means initially it was when it came, we just said, okay, let's just chunk the content into smaller pieces and deliver, right? And then we said, okay, let's just address a specific objective, learning objective, and make it very specific to learners. And that's what we have achieved. And now if you see, now there are so many ways as to how we can reinforce, add value to our existing larger training programs, and use gamification and videos to engage the learners. And definitely we can use that pre, during, and post any larger training program so that it becomes easier and effective. And last importantly, it is to create this continuous learning interventions. Continuous learning intervention is something that we'll cover today because that is very important for us. When for some of you, I think this is like a reinforcement session because I spoke about this 4 weeks ago, right? So, yes. So if, I'll cover that in a bit. Okay, numbers, if you look at the research which is happening globally, RPS research says that microlearning has helped almost 80% to drive long-term retention of the training programs, because that if you use correctly, that's the impact that it can create. And even software advice says microlearning creates 50% more engagement to learners than our larger programs. Okay. So that way, we should know where to use and how to use microlearning. It becomes that much easier. And if you also look at what exactly has changed, why microlearning is effective in a more ways, is it improves retention of the learner. Okay. That's something, if you are able to drive it the right way, it becomes that much easier. And it is just-in-time learning, so that I learn quickly and then get into the work, provides right reinforcement of knowledge, and provide additional information as and when required. If I need, I will go and learn, otherwise it's not my primary focus to learn something. Right? And we can offer tips. It could be our job aids and other things. Right? SOPs, there are numerous SOPs that we'll have, but how many of those learners remember? And we need them to remember literally every day and every time. So that becomes important. So when you have to look at where microlearning can be used, it can be used definitely as independent nuggets. Right? It can be on various aspects, be it standalone or videos or gamified activities. And plus, before our larger e-learning programs, to create curiosity or give awareness as to what exactly they are getting into, or even post-training programs, right? So that people are able to remember and continue to apply the learning. So it becomes important. And even if it is your classroom and virtual training, because normally classroom programs are larger and particularly onboarding programs are larger. So it can be done pre, post, as well as reinforcing the learning through microlearning is something that can be done. Even throwing a quiz, it can be gamified activity for the learners. So it becomes that much easier. And microlearning interventions, it can be of varied formats, right? It can be a learning nugget, it can be an activity for the learner so that they can perform certain tasks, videos, it could be questions, gamification elements, podcasts, and learning resources. It could be the job aids, right? It could be various formats that we can use. So we just need to know which one to use, how to use, and where to use. That's important and critical. And this is very important. Continuous learning journey is critical for us if at all we have to drive, because what happens, we provide a training on fire safety. I'm taking it as an example. And we all have completion reports in our LMS, right? Because everyone have completed. But if assume there's an incident, how many are ready to take? Because I've taken maybe somewhere in last December, and I don't remember what are the things that if there's an incident, what do I do? So, but is there a way we can give this maybe a reinforcement by 2 minutes or 5-minute learning module? It can be a video, it can be a micro-learning module, which will help them to continue to remember. Maybe I rolled the program in December, maybe in March, April, I give them small snippet as to what should their minimum is bare minimum what they need to remember. So what happens, it helps me to start recalling, right? And then it becomes easier. And always maybe I quote an example. So we all remember Titanic, right? And maybe I can literally help you to remember the entire movie by just 4 scenes. So Titanic starts with a beautiful ship that they show, and then there are 2 lead actors who come in, and lead actors standing at the edge of the ship, and then sinking of the ship, the movie concludes. Maybe if I just give you 3-4 minutes, you'll start stitching that entire movie from beginning to end. So that's a straightforward microlearning example I can tell, where if at all we are able to provide those right reinforcement, it helps you to automatically generate this continuous learning so that I continue to remember what I need to learn, what I need to apply. So that way it becomes that much easier. So the smaller nuggets become that much more effective. And this has literally proved, there are numerous studies which says that numerous organizations have benefited by something like this because continuous learning journey today is the norm to engage people. And microlearning in the flow of work, I think we all know about learning in the flow of work, which Josh Bersin came up with this phrase, which is nothing but where learner can literally access or receive any information that they need to do a job or a task. It becomes that much easier. And there have been research which says the moment you are able to drive this learning in the flow of work of a learner, it improves productivity, increases engagement with the formal learning, right, which is important and critical, and also the entire retention of knowledge. That is more important for us because is learner able to retain the knowledge which you have provided. We make big investments, right, for people to remember. So to learn, how much they are able to remember, how much they are able to apply is what is critical and important for us. And that's where microlearning plays a vital role. And today, microlearning serves really well because it's slowly becoming a common today and it becomes that much easier. It's on demand. Learners would like to learn through short bites so that they are able to upskill themselves quickly. And then it is definitely budget friendly. And microlearning also we should know where microlearning will not work because this is very important and critical for all of us. So microlearning is definitely not ideal in all situations, particularly if at all we are providing a formal education or training, because that's not. If I'm onboarding a person, I'll not just give 5-minute session for him or her to learn about the organization or culture or otherwise, right? It's definitely not to do complex topics. So I would not go to a doctor who has learned, who has done his MBBS using microlearning strategy, right? But let's be honest. We have to, and that's most of our session, most of our training programs are like that. We should not use microlearning where it's not supposed to be used. But yes, can it be used as a reinforcement for main training? Yes, that's where microlearning plays a vital role. And definitely not mastery over a complete topic. It will build multiple microlearning models may help you to build mastery, but it's not one microlearning module will not. And definitely it's not a replacement for e-learning. Okay, e-learning will continue. It has its own place, so is our classroom or virtual trainings. Microlearning has its own advantages and benefits for the organization. So if you have to just see, because on various elements, right, the continuous learning journey does play a vital role for us, be it all these aspects, be it digital skills, soft skills, compliance training, so sales or product training, compliance. Particularly it's so effective for sales and product training because people who are literally on the field, they have no time, but they need to learn. Maybe suddenly we release a new product or a new process or new SOP, but they need to learn and they are able to apply. That's where microlearning plays a vital role. It becomes that much easier and more effective. And that's where we should use, where it is really going to create that right impact. And for that, I think we have to use the right tools and technologies. I think we did heard about LMS, LXPs, but is it required for you to reinvent? May not be. Right? If you have a right system, use the existing systems or bring in new platforms, maybe like Credo, right, wherein you are able to deliver that and ensure that we are able to provide that continuous learning experiences for learners. And it has to be, anything that we do today has to be mobile first. Learners are able to access any training on the move, wherever they want, anytime, anywhere. So this becomes important, and that's where bite-sized learning becomes critical. Microlearning is one of the ways. And the moment we are able to do that, we are able to generate better analytics. Automatically, we are able to generate right reports to the management. We all have to submit reports, right? And to get the next year budgets or otherwise, and also see how we are able to create the right impact to the business. It becomes that much easier the moment we are able to generate better analytics. And for that, we need to have right system. So I'll just maybe give a small glimpse about a platform which is our platform, it's a learning platform. It's a combination of LMS, LXP, wherein this is a learner view as to how learners can access it on PC tablet, where this comes with a beautiful inbuilt authoring tool, the only one globally which has a fantastic authoring tool, like a standalone system, and you can create learning journeys, you can automate your entire programs. You have to just put learner, means like you're onboarding, you assign, and the system will take care automatically. So and you can have combination of your classroom, virtual training, your documents, videos, everything can be assigned to learners, and you can track their entire performance. So, and even in the catalog content, once we have provided, it's integrated with most of the catalogs today available, right? And learners get their own insights very easily. They can see their own performance. As an admin, you can always see deeper insights on the platform. That's something that it does provide. And irrespective of that, learners should have the seamless experience even on the mobile phone. Yes, we have loads of people, like particularly frontline employees who are deskless. So can they get the experience required? Yes, that's something that Credo does offer, and I'm sure most of your platforms also should be offering. Otherwise, we need to figure out what is the best way to implement. Right? So this just to give a quick glimpse of the platform in the mobile version. And tips and best practices to implement this, yes, it has to be a task-oriented training, because gone are those days where we are trying to teach learners history or otherwise. Yes, that's critical, and we'll do that, but that should not be the ongoing activity. Ongoing activity has to be to where they can do their job better. And then it has to be focused on reinforcements and remediation. Right? So remediation is very critical. Say, for example, we all use assessment strategies or knowledge checks in our programs, even in our classroom training. Because what is also important is if learner goes wrong in a question, our typical approach is, okay, we'll tell them this is wrong and this is the right answer. But we never take an effort to tell the learner to go back and learn that, because that is not the strategy. Because assessment strategy we all implement is different. But is there a tool that can, maybe a learner went wrong on a question, can they go back and learn? A platform like Credo does help learners to go back and learn and come back. Because it's very important. Normally, why learner may not get an answer right, could be 2-3 situations where either they did not understand, is maybe too complex, or never spent the time, or because of this 9-second attention span, they are unable to recall what they learned 2-3 minutes ago. Chances are very high. But now, can we help them to just learn that immediately, right on the spot? The moment there is a gap, bring in this remediation to fill that. And that, if you are able to implement, our strategies will automatically make a big impact. And definitely, short quizzes and gamification does help to create that, and we can use videos as and when required. And then, how do we build microlearning examples? This is just a few examples where you can create such programs, right? Any of your trainer or HR person can create a program like this using Credo. Means a visually rich program which is fully responsive is something which is possible. Loads of activities. Credo comes with almost 50+ templates. It's far better than PowerPoint to create training material. And you can drive that continuous learning journey through memory boosters and others, and collaboration, social learning. And also, most importantly, to create this gamification, right? Because you can also create some very task-oriented gamification. This is just one example for one of the food delivery organizations that we work with, where literally it had everything, and the focus is on the learning, but the journey is completely gamified. And it's less than 10 minutes, but they're able to learn so that they are able to take decisions on the move, because that's very important. When somebody is gone for delivery, there are so many things that they have to decide, whether the person is not picking up the phone or they're not opening the door. So what exactly they have to do? So it's something that we taught using various gamification elements, and that's where we should use, it could be videos also are very effective, right? So is gamification. This is just an example of how we can create this, and even such programs which is where learners learn, but can we really make it interesting? This is just an example of a car race where they just get in and then they start learning, and then there are questions that come in. Based on that questions is where we give them the feedback. Okay, you got it right, or this is the right way and approach. So this is completely, and this program can work seamlessly on a PC as well as on smartphones and tablets. Okay, so we have to just think through as to how do we now create programs. It becomes easier for learners to engage. So this is just an example of that. And a couple of case studies I also want to pick up, wherein we have worked with customers working on numerous strategies. Microlearning is one, and with one of the leading insurance companies that we work with, almost 30,000 people that we had to train, and they had huge training manuals. And when we got into an opportunity, and then it was humongous, and they were using the traditional ways of developing, and then we picked up and we created almost, out of that we broke which are critical for them to do their task. And we created some 130 microlearning modules, and there were quite a few videos. And then certain material, we just kept it as is, which they, if they want, they can go and learn. So which is also important, right? We should not be losing out the key aspect. And learners could access anywhere, anytime. But the important thing is this, the course completion rates, earlier it was almost 44%, and it increased to 73. They were still working with them. Can we make it 100? I don't know whether when we'll reach that, but definitely that's something which is we are keen on to make it. But most importantly, they saw a significant increase in their sales from the previous quarters. Because after they rolled out this, and then they created that entire buzz around the entire training program, so it becomes that much easier. And other case which I can take about is our own Lenskart, right, in India, wherein they have, currently in the system, they have around 10,000 people, there are 6,500 people who are live on the system. And this is really the big part. I think they have 90% engagement across. Means if you walk into any store, they would have been trained using Credo as a platform. And literally everyone there, stores, offline team, means people who come into home to try. Because one of the reasons Piyush, who is the co-founder along with their academy team, they realized well earlier in their career, if at all they have to grow, they need to equip their people so that they have better conversations. So automatically it will have impact on the sales. So they put in that effort. It took them almost 8 months to create that really impact. And what they managed to do, they had trainers, as all of us would have, or who literally go and train people using our traditional classroom method. So now what trainers became course creators. And most importantly, they became enablers. See, the moment we walk in to any Lenskart store, we can just pick up any frame, and the person in the store should have, maybe they have 500 different frames, but they should have knowledge about each of those. So how are they able to manage to do that? Is this training? So what they managed to do, this is data as on June, where they created 460 courses. Out of that, close to 400 courses were published, and learners had to complete this within short span of time, which is almost 7 to 14 days they have to complete. And when they took this journey, what was important is a business impact. One is the people are able to have better conversations with customers, that automatically has better sales and customer retention. And if the moment there is better sales, people get better incentives. And because of that, they were able to address the entire attrition in a significant manner. And this is a case study which we are publishing, it will be coming out. Other important thing which also happened is, as Credo comes with inbuilt authoring tool, they saved almost 1 crore. We just took a wild guess, even if it's 400 courses that they published, even if it take just 20,000 rupees, right, it's almost 1 crore, right? I think no course comes in 20,000. But this is a classic example as to how, if at all, there is a strategy, and yes, it does take some time, but if you're able to implement that well, the business gain is significant. So this is something that we are proud to be working with a brand like Lenskart, wherein they are able to see that value what the platform is able to provide. And so to just maybe to conclude, definitely Microlearning is here to stay, right? That will continue to cherish. It's all just that we need to know how and where we want to do and help learners to learn better. And then is definitely a great tool to create that entire life cycle. And continuous learning is very important and critical. If at all we are able to make that planning so that we are able to engage people even after the program, that will automatically address a lot of other challenges that you may be, because I'm sure a lot of challenges, maybe I can just ask, what kind of challenges that you face when you roll out a program? So anybody wants to pick up? So that we'll see if we can find some answers by others. And we want to just, now, what happens after your training programs? Do you do anything to engage learners? I think there's, yeah, maybe Mike has to go that far. Yes.
I could see that, training program published, content available, how many people have undergone the training. What are the strategies you are bringing in line with, instead of making it mandatory, how people are pulling towards your content? Can you throw some light on that?
Yes, it's a business leaders, right? The moment the business leaders are aligned with that, they need to literally equip their team, automatically everything, that's where Lenskart did, means every region-wise they are able to map, and the responsibility is given to those leaders who are to drive, because, and they have to literally sell that concept that if at all you are able to have a better conversation with your customer, you'll have better sales. And the moment, and people know that, the moment they have better sales, automatically it will have an impact. So it may work in some aspects, but where we are in the service industry, it's a slightly different approach that we may have to take.
Great. I mean, I'm just trying to understand, you saying that it is going via the leaders, but the learning is for the end users who are directly going in the market. So what are the strategies which is really pulling them? How are you really monitoring self-registered versus applying the learning?
See, with that, I think definitely we have delegates from Lenskart who can throw that light. I think we gave our thoughts and then they drew it. I think the best is, maybe I'll just let them take that question, because it will be too much into what.
No, I know, but I think this is one of the challenge which I want to really.
No, but that's something that I can definitely share what we do. We recommend when it's not just the platform implementation. It is what goes. How do you create that curiosity for learners to learn, and to demonstrate to them as to what kind of business impact that it can create.
So right? Two aspects: business and what is therein for me.
For me,
what is therein for me is a self-pulling.
That is there. See, finally, all our team members are working for their salaries and incentives, right? And if we are able to show to them, okay, this is one of the ways as to how you can become better, have better sales happen, automatically incentives is a natural outcome. So that's something that we'll have to just work with them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, there are a couple of questions. Yes, to me, yes.
Thanks. So I want to understand about the management report. So was that just a reference, or is it also a part of this L&D program module that you are using or you are imparting?
Yeah, it is part of the
part
platform.
of it. So can you throw some light briefly as to how it happens? Because according to me, management reports is a very serious subject, and it requires a lot of, pulling off out of a lot of data, okay, and references to a lot of numbers and figures, okay? So this is what I have in my mind.
True. So see, it's a combination. One is the reports from the platform, and plus your performance reports outside, which is the sales reports, right? If we are talking about sales as a aspect. So if we are able to map, okay, these are the types of trainings that we provided, and this is the kind of output they should have generated.
So the management reports you are referring within the module and the performance of about the performance of the module.
Business, correct.
Not the other aspects, functional aspects of the organization.
No, we will not get in. Normally we don't get in that.
So I would also like to understand that in this micro-learning modules, what are the functional functions of any organization have Tesseract has been able to cover so far?
See, it could be your product trainings, it could be your soft skills, it could be soft skills in the sense it could be for a retail entity, it is grooming, how you present, how you talk. Okay, those could be, those are the ones that we have worked with them. And then if it's a product company, right, product knowledge, product sales, how to have a good presentation skills, how to have conversations about a product, how to handle objections, okay, and even healthcare. If suddenly you're going and meeting a physician, you want to just maybe talk about, quickly refer to about the product that I need to talk. Means I get a minute or two with a physician. That can I create that impact?
Right.
That's where microlearning can be used.
Okay.
These are just a couple of examples that I could take off.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
My question was in line with the, what was asked by this lady with respect to the success stories that you have shared with insurance company and Lenskart. What carrot or what should I say, stick strategies you have implemented and you have got result. So we would like to know more about that. As in,
See, we work with L&D teams, right? We give them, once the moment we are able to understand the business challenge, we suggest them what is the approach. One is a learning approach. And how do you, and also there's something called as, means we need to wear a marketing hat, right? Because what we are not, may not be that great is we create great training programs, but we don't know how to pull the learners. That can we create curiosity is something that we work with customers to create that, make that what is called as learning marketing, right? Marketing the learning solutions so that learner is able to see the value why a program is rolled out. And for them, suddenly if you have to take them from a classroom only training to a self-learning, it's a big change management. It becomes very difficult. And now that's where we work with them, try to understand the challenges. We also spend time with the business owners who understand, business owners in the department heads and others, to understand what kind of challenges that their learners are facing, where maybe they want to reach 1 to 10, but what are the hurdles that they have been seeing. So that's where we try to fit in as to through digital interventions how that can help. And then finally, it is also the L&D team which has to build from there, because we are not in the execution side, we are only enabling the L&D teams to make that happen.
thanks.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to understand one aspect. In the beginning, you told us that, you shouldn't be converting a lot of content, into micro-learning just for the sake of converting into micro-learning. Okay? But then, while giving the example of Lenskart, you somewhere mentioned that there were over 300 courses which were completed by people within a span of 14 to 15 days. So
Not entire 300 courses. That is for one module they have to complete within 7 to 14 days.
Okay. So
Every
that
module,
that
yeah.
was the clarity I
Oh
want,
no,
because,
that is over a
I-
period of, that was an 8-month study.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that was the clarification I required,
yes.
because then again we are, that should not be the right approach,
Oh
right?
yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was the clarification.
That will be too much of cognitive load.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I think there's one more.
Yeah, we can take one last question as we are running late.
Yes.
Yep.
So one question.
So I just want to know, how do you rate different micro learning tools? Now let me tell you where I'm coming from. So we did a short survey of around 900 people, and we found out, we thought that short videos of 30 seconds are the most likely way of learning. But somehow we could get from the survey that this was rated as 88%, whereas there was 92% of people who liked the short write-ups and infographics. Right? So it was totally, we like to, though there was a short difference, but the pool was large. So we adopted even the short write-ups, and that could work in some of the post programs or a pre-program way. So I just wanted to know from you that how do you rate these infographics, short write-ups, 30-second videos, and nowadays 3-4 minute videos are maybe a part of a micro-learning. So how do you rate these different videos, tools?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. I think microlearning is, we should not be driven by the duration, right? As long as we are able to teach one objective, it could be a 10-second video, or it could be a 10-minute microlearning course, right? And also what we use, what format we use depends on the learner, means whom we are trying to teach them. Because if most people are videos works, it works. Sometimes it could be interactivity. Sometimes it could be gamification. So depending on what we are trying to, whom we are trying to address, I think our strategies have to also change. right? And if they're frontline employees where you means for them, I think reading or writing can be a challenge. Maybe just the video with audio will do for them to just learn how they have to maybe like food delivery business, right? Not everyone are highly educated, right? For them, maybe a video they see like the way they see on Facebook or otherwise, it becomes that much easier. Yeah. So maybe to just quickly wrap up, I think we are literally a one-stop shop, starting from your custom e-learning to microlearning gamification, virtual reality to Credo as a learning platform. Plus, we also offer, we resell a largest catalog content. Name the topic, we will have a course to map to that. That's something that which is there. And this is just to leave my contact details. Means would love to connect up with you and learn. And if there's any questions, we are right there behind. We are, along with other partners, we have a booth just behind this. Okay, so do come and talk to me and my colleagues who are right there. So I think we are done with the time.